You ever come home early, expecting hugs, and instead you hear your own kid plotting to steal everything you built? I'm Jack, and this story ain't about revenge. It's about justice, quiet, legal, and cold as Texas steel. Hey folks, name's Jack Harlan. I'm 64, and I built an auto empire from a one-bay garage in Austin, Texas. 10 shops, almost 30 mil a year. Not bad for a guy who started with grease under his nails and 2 busted wrenches. I built it for my wife, Maggie, and her boy, Travis. Or so I thought. A couple months back, I flew home early from a scouting trip. Wanted to surprise the family for Labor Day. Pulled into the ranch, lights blazing, laughter spilling out the windows. Thought, well, that's nice, they missed me. Then I heard Kendra, my daughter-in-law, say, "Finally, no old man barking orders. We flip the house, franchise the shops, and keep the empire in younger hands." And Travis? He laughed. "Yeah, Mom'll sign anything if we play the grandkids card." My blood went cold. Maggie was outside, sitting in the dark, crying. She didn't know they were planning to bleed me dry. So I didn't say a word. I walked back to my truck, opened my laptop, and pulled up the LLC records. Here's the part they didn't know. Every shop, every truck, every trademark was in a trust, not my name. And that trust, it had one clause. Any heir caught committing fraud loses all rights instantly. Quiet, legal, and ironclad. Next morning, I called my lawyer and updated one line. Made sure Maggie owned 60% just in case I ever dropped dead before her. 2 weeks later, Travis came to me with a fake smile and a new proposal. I slid a folder across the table. He opened it and turned white. Everything he'd tried to grab, gone. Everything Maggie ever loved, safe. And me? I just went back to work. Same garage, same grease, less family. Right there, I made a choice. I wasn't gonna fight with fists or tears. I was gonna fight with signatures and silence. 'Cause paperwork, it don't lie. And it don't forget.
I'll back it up a bit before that night, so you know where I'm coming from. I didn't grow up with a silver wrench in my hand. Grew up dirt poor in a trailer park outside Dallas, fixing neighbors' clunkers for pocket change. Lost my folks young, so it was just me and whatever I could hustle. Met Maggie at a greasy spoon. She was waitressing, I was 3 cups into a shift and 2 cents from falling asleep. Sparks hit, we married quick, and she stuck by me while I wrestled that first one-bay garage open with loans we could barely sleep on. We worked like dogs. 2 shops turned into 5, then 10, hired veterans, locals who needed a break, built something real out of sweat. Travis came along later, our miracle kid, and yeah, I spoiled that boy rotten. Paid for him to get that fancy business degree at UT because I figured he'd come back and run the family shops. That was the plan. Then he met Kendra, sharp as a tack, polished, from money circles that sneered at grease under your nails. They married, moved to Houston, had the kids, Emma and Jake, and the visits got thinner than a Texas rain in August. I wired cash for investments and kid stuff because family's family, right? But the calls started to smell weird. Travis kept talking partnership and succession. Kendra dropped lines about my age like it was an asset depreciation report. It prickled me, but I told myself I was being paranoid. Took that trip to Houston to scout new tech, 2 weeks of suppliers and bolt heads. I figured Maggie would mind the flagship shop, keep things steady. But then the messages changed, clipped, short, like someone was hiding a card. My gut tightened, so I hopped an early flight home. Which brings us to the patio. I crept up to the house thinking I'd walk in on a barbecue and hugs. Instead, I hear 'em. Laughter, the clink of glasses, and Kendra's voice smoothing a stack of papers she called protective measures. Kendra's dad, Victor, bragging about lawyers and drafts. Protect, that word tasted different in my mouth. I slipped out, grabbed Maggie's hand. She looked like she'd been carrying a storm. "Jack? Oh, God," she whispered. We climbed into my truck, hearts thumping. I didn't know what horrors she'd been living with while I was gone, but I did know one thing. I wasn't going to let them flip my life while I stood still. Hold tight. The real work starts now.
Man, even talking about that night still makes my blood run hot. As Maggie and I tore down that dirt road in my old F-150, she finally broke. Tears streaking down her face, voice cracking between gasps. "They showed up 3 weeks ago," she said. "Called it a holiday surprise. But Jack, it turned bad real quick." Travis and Kendra and her high society parents had turned our house into a dang boardroom. At first, it was those soft jabs. "Mom, this place is too big for you two," and "Dad's always gone. Let us help manage the shops." But then it got pushy. They were sniffing around my office, digging through old files, even found the will I wrote 20 years ago. Victor, that slick-talking oil man wannabe, kept throwing around estate planning like he was doing us a favor. Maggie, bless her, held her ground as long as she could. That woman's tougher than leather. She balanced the books, raised Travis, kept me fed when I was working 18-hour days. But they used the grandkids against her. "Emma says Abuela cries alone," Kendra would whisper, playing her like a fiddle. Then today, those snakes threw a party, toasting to their new beginning, while Maggie sat outside staring at the stars, feeling like a ghost in her own home. We holed up that night in a cheap roadside motel, the kind that still smells like cigarettes from the 90s. I sat there, staring into a cup of burnt coffee, while Maggie cried soft beside me. The anger in my chest shifted, stopped burning, and started sharpening. "These folks ain't family," I told her. "They're vultures, and they just circled the wrong man." I wasn't gonna throw punches. I'd built too much for that. Nah, this was gonna be clean, quiet, and legal. I pulled out my phone and called Hank, my lawyer and old friend since shop number 2. "Hank, it's Jack. Emergency meeting tonight. I need to lock down every account, every deed, every signature. Now." He didn't ask questions, just said, "On my way." And that's when the plan started to click into place. Cold, surgical, airtight. By sunrise, I wasn't the same man who walked into that house. I was done being blindsided. And this time, I'd be the one setting the trap.
Man, that motel room felt like a war room. I paced while Hank drove over, showed up at midnight, hair a mess but sharp as ever. "Jack, this is heavy. Trusts? Disinheritance?" I cut him off. "Do it all." We moved fast, revoked Travis's power of attorney. He only had emergency access anyway, but that was gone. New will drafted on the spot, everything funneled into a trust with Maggie as beneficiary, then set to roll to a veterans charity if anything fishy happened. We put language in there about conspiracy to defraud based on what I'd overheard, just enough to make crooked hands think twice. Next up, the fortress. I called Raoul, my locksmith. The man's fixed more shop doors than I can count. Change every lock, new alarm, cameras to my phone, paid double. I don't care. He grumbled about holiday rates, but was there in an hour, moving like a pro. While Raul worked, I parked down the street and recorded from the shadows. Travis's laugh cut through the night. Once Mom signs, we flipped the house, then the shops. Kendra added something about modernize and cash out. That audio, pure gold. Armed with those clips, Hank and I rang up Sheriff Lopez, rodeo sponsor, straight shooter. I laid it out: trespassing, harassment, attempted fraud. Lopez asked, "You sure about this, Jack? That's your boy." I said, "Ain't my boy if he's stealing from his maw." He promised a dawn check. Morning crawled up slow. My stomach felt like a junked piston. The house was quiet from the road. Party wreckage, sure, but were they gonna fight? What about Emma and Jake? That part gutted me. Protecting Maggie and the shops came first. When the squad cars rolled up, I walked up with my chin high. What followed was sharp and tidy, an eviction that stung 'em good. But make no mistake, the fallout left deeper cuts than I'd bargained for. Stick around. This is where the payback really starts.
Standing there at sunrise, watching the deputies walk up the drive, felt like watching someone else's life. Travis opened the door, hair all messed up, squinting at the sun. "Dad, what's with the cops?" Sheriff Lopez stepped forward, calm as a preacher. "Report of unauthorized occupation and coercion. You need to vacate." Kendra stormed out in a robe, screeching, "This is family! You can't do this!" Victor went full threat. Lawsuits, lawyers, waving his phone like it was a Bible. I didn't flinch. I held up the fresh stack of documents Hank had drawn at midnight. "House is in trust. You're trespassing. 20 minutes to grab personal stuff. Leave the rest." Then the house turned into a circus. Kids bawling, confused as hell. Travis tried to plead, all shaky. "Dad, let's talk." I felt nothing but cold. "Talk? Like when you planned to steal my shops?" I said. They shoved clothes into duffel bags, glared at me like I'd stabbed them. Deputies guided them to their SUVs and locked the doors. Watching them pull away, I got this ugly mix of relief and a hollowness that hit my gut. Maggie slipped into my arms and whispered, "It's over, Jack." I went back in and cleaned their mess myself. Beer cans, paper plates, that stupid creepy lawn banner they'd left behind. Felt righteous wiping their fingerprints off my counter, but the house echoed like a church after a funeral. I texted Travis one thing: no more money, no contact. Earn it back, don't expect handouts. He fired off a string of angry, then begging messages. I blocked them all. I tightened the shops up, new codes, new cameras, Raul on permanent call. Business hummed, but the kitchen table felt emptier than the bank account did full. Word trickled out. Travis and Kendra split. The in-laws cut him off. He moved into some dump and picked up odd jobs. Seeing your kid fall flat stings different than a punch. Still, I wasn't done. This wasn't the finish line. It was the starting line for testing what he was really made of. And trust me, I had plans to make sure the lesson stuck. Hey, if you're still riding with me this far, don't skip out now. This story ain't just about engines and betrayal. It's about life hitting you hard and watching who stands by when the smoke clears. If that hits something inside you, smash that like button. Drop a comment telling me your turning point. Maybe it was family. Maybe it was trust. Maybe it was losing something you built with your own two hands. And if you're new here, Hit that subscribe and stick around, 'cause these stories, they ain't just mine, they're ours. Real talk, real pain, real rebuilding. Now, buckle up, 'cause what comes next, it's where the truth finally hits the road. Man, those first few months after the eviction were one wild ride. The house was locked down tight, business booming, even opened my 11th shop out in San Antonio. On paper, I was winning, but nights were quiet and heavy. Maggie and I'd sit on the porch, coffee in hand, staring at the stars like they might spell us an answer. "He's still our boy, Jack," she'd whisper, eyes glassy. "Yeah," I'd say, "but he picked greed over blood." We'd built every inch of this life together, her running the front desk while I busted knuckles under hoods. Now that same life felt tainted, like success had fingerprints we couldn't scrub off. Word spread quick in a town like ours. Folks at the shops patted my back, "You did right, boss." But family get-togethers, awkward as all get out. Cousins asking about Travis, me dodging the topic like a pothole. Then one day he showed up, just walked into the flagship shop like nothing happened. Security stopped him cold. "Tell Dad I'm sorry," he shouted across the lot. Sorry. That word felt about 10 years too cheap. Kendra cut him loose soon after, split the kids half-time. She even called me once, voice crackling with those fake tears. "It was all a misunderstanding, Jack." Yeah, right. A 3-month-long misunderstanding with a paper trail. Travis was scraping by, doing freelance repair jobs out of some rundown shop behind a diner. Friends said he looked rough but was keeping his head down. I didn't know if that meant redemption or rehearsal. So I ran a little test. Had a buddy pose as a client, offered Travis a too-good-to-be-true deal. Shady import parts, easy profit. He turned it down flat. "Ain't doing dirty work," he said. That line stuck with me. Maybe there was still a spark of the man I hoped he'd become. But one clean choice don't wipe away years of bad ones. I wasn't ready to trust yet. Not him, not fate, not anything.
And year one, it threw me curveballs I never saw coming. Stick around, folks. This next part's where pride meets payback, and the past comes knocking louder than ever.
Lord have mercy. Year one after the eviction was a slow-motion train wreck I couldn't unsee. Travis went from penthouse to piss poor in the blink of an eye, holed up in a roach-infested studio off I-10 that reeked of stale beer and broken dreams. Kendra, she didn't just leave, she torched the bridge on her way out. Filed for divorce the week after I locked him out. Took the kids and shacked up with some suit who probably thinks torque is a fancy wine. Left Travis with a duffel, a mountain of debt, and a custody schedule that carved his heart out every other weekend. I didn't stalk him, but Austin's a small world when you got friends in every grease pit. Lewis, my parts guy, saw him at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday digging through scrap bins for a $12 alternator. "Jack, your boy's eyes are hollow, man, like he's aged 10 years in 6 months. Carla at the diner slipped me a photo she snapped. Travis in a stained apron, flipping pancakes for truckers, smiling that fake smile waiters perfect when their soul's screaming. My chest caved in. That's my flesh and blood reduced to scraping syrup off plates because he thought he could steal my empire. Then came the letter. Showed up on a rainy November night. Soaked through. No return address. Maggie tore it open with shaking hands. One page, scrawled like a man fighting demons. Dad, Mom, I see Mom's face on that patio every time I close my eyes. The way she looked at me, like I was a stranger wearing my son's skin. I did that. I broke the only woman who ever loved me unconditional. Emma asked why Grandma don't call no more. I lied and said y'all were busy. Truth is, I'm the reason she cries at night. I ain't got the right to ask forgiveness. Just know I'm trying to claw my way out of the hole I dug, one greasy shift, one sleepless night at a time. If you never speak to me again, I'll understand, but I'll keep trying to be the man you deserved. Travis. Maggie collapsed into my arms, sobbing so hard the paper tore. He's suffering, Jack. Our baby's suffering. I held her tight, but rage and grief warred inside me like cross wires. Part of me wanted to drive to Houston, drag him home, fix it all. The other part, the dad who'd buried his own father too young, who'd promised Maggie a legacy, screamed no. He chose this, Mag. Let him feel the weight. So I tested him harder. Had Lewis dangle a restoration gig on a '69 Camaro. Dream job, fat payout, but with a clause letting the client vanish without paying if the paint don't shine right. Travis stared at it for a full minute, jaw clenched, then slid it back. I ain't selling my name for a maybe. Fix that or I'm out. Lewis called me later, voice low. Jack, your boy's eyes are hollow, man, like he's aged 10 years and 6 months. Carla at the diner slipped me a photo she snapped. Travis in a stained apron, flipping pancakes for truckers, smiling that fake smile waiters perfect when their soul's screaming. My chest caved in. That's my flesh and blood, reduced to scraping syrup off plates, 'cause he thought he could steal my empire. Then came the letter. Showed up on a rainy November night, soaked through, no return address. Maggie tore it open with shaking hands. One page, scrawled like a man fighting demons. Dad, Mom, I see Mom's face on that patio every time I close my eyes. The way she looked at me, like I was a stranger wearing my son's skin. I did that. I broke the only woman who ever loved me unconditional. Emma asked why Grandma don't call no more. I lied and said y'all were busy. Truth is, I'm the reason she cries at night. I ain't got the right to ask forgiveness. Just know I'm trying to claw my way out of the hole I dug, one greasy shift, one sleepless night at a time. If you never speak to me again, I'll understand, but I'll keep trying to be the man you deserved. Travis. Maggie collapsed into my arms, sobbing so hard the paper tore. He's suffering, Jack. Our baby's suffering. I held her tight, but rage and grief warred inside me like cross wires. Part of me wanted to drive to Houston, drag him home, fix it all. The other part, the dad who'd buried his own father too young, who'd promised Maggie a legacy, screamed no. He chose this, Mag. Let him feel the weight. So I tested him harder. Had Lewis dangle a restoration gig on a '69 Camaro. Dream job, fat payout, but with a clause letting the client vanish without paying if the paint don't shine right. Travis stared at it for a full minute, jaw clenched, then slid it back. I ain't selling my name for a maybe. Fix that or I'm out. Lewis called me later, voice low. Jack, your boy's eyes are hollow, man, like he's aged 10 years and 6 months. By spring, he'd clawed his way into a rundown shop in Katy. Junior wrench, $14 an hour, sleeping in the break room some nights to save gas. No more Rolex, no more future CEO talk. Just a man trying to outrun the ghost of who he'd been. Maggie started setting an extra plate at dinner. Never touched, just there, like a silent prayer. First Easter without the kids, we sat in church, holding hands while the choir sang about resurrection, and I swear I felt Travis's absence like a missing limb. Dropped $100 in the offering plate
for the youth fund instead of buying plastic eggs. And then, right before Father's Day, Lewis hit me with a gut punch. Travis was spending Sundays at the VA garage fixing Veter's beaters for free. One old Marine told Lewis, "That kid worked on my truck till midnight, wouldn't take a dime. Said he's paying a debt he can never repay." I sat in my truck after hearing that, hands gripping the wheel till my knuckles went white, tears burning tracks down my cheeks. Was this penance or performance? Year 2 was coming fast, and the stakes felt higher than ever before. Stick with me, 'cause the next twist nearly broke us all over again.
Year 2 slammed in like a stripped lug nut. Travis was still breathing, still fighting, but every update was a fresh cut. Lewis sent a pic at 2:14 a.m. Travis on the shop couch, Emma curled on his chest, Jake asleep on the floor with a half-eaten PB&J. Caption: Kendra dropped him at 6 p.m. Pickups tomorrow noon. He's working midnight shift after. Maggie saw it and shattered. Started packing tiny socks at 3 a.m., sobbing, "They're sleeping on concrete, Jack." I let her send the box. Didn't stop the tears. Kendra rang once, ice cold. "Send cash or the kids stay with me full time." I hung up, blocked, but the threat sat in my gut like bad gas. Travis got promoted, lead tech, still $17 an hour. Taught rookies between diaper changes. Carla recorded him at the diner counter. "Success ain't a bank account. It's knowing your kid's shoes fit." I played it till the battery died. Tested him again. Corporate fleet overhaul. Buried clause. Owner can swap parts. Doc pay. Travis read it in the parking lot. Emma coughing in the back seat. Called a rep. "My girl's inhaler ain't negotiable. Fix it or I'm out." The rep sneered. Travis walked. Bought generic meds with his last 20. Thanksgiving, 4 plates on the table. 3 stayed empty. Maggie stared till the gravy skinned over. Then Lewis dropped the bomb. Travis pulling midnight security, using the cash for 1 decent Christmas gift each. Vet at the VA garage. "Kid fixed my wife's heater at 1 a.m. Wouldn't take a dime. Said he's paying a debt to his babies." I sat in the dark garage staring at the dusty Mustang. For the first time, hope hurt worse than hate. Year 3 was breathing down our necks, and the ache was turning into something sharper. Stick around, the next twist nearly broke us all over again. 2.5 years in, I threw the ultimate gut check. Shell company, fat contract, hidden clause letting me ghost payment. Travis got the offer at 7:03 p.m. on a Thursday. I know because Lewis texted me a photo. Travis hunched over the kitchen table in his cramped apartment, Emma asleep on his lap, Jake coloring on the contract's margin with a stubby crayon. The payout could have covered 3 months' rent, new shoes for both kids, and the pediatrician bill Kendra kept forwarding with snide emojis. He read it twice, then a third time, lips moving. At 11:47 p.m., he called the rep, voice hoarse from warehouse night shifts. "Change that clause or I walk. My daughter's inhaler ain't optional." Rep laughed, said plenty of techs would sign blind. Travis hung up. Next morning, he was back under a '98 Civic, knuckles bleeding from a rusted bolt, telling Jake, "We'll eat peanut butter this week, buddy. Heroes do that." Emma's cough echoed in the bay. He bought generic meds with his last 20. He lost the gig, bought generic mac and cheese for a month, slept in the shop break room 3 nights to save gas. Kendra texted, "Real father would have taken the money." He screenshotted it, showed the kids. "This is why we don't sell our name." I stared at the rejection email, chest caving. For the first time, the boy I raised, scared, broke, but choosing his kids over easy cash, peeked through the wreckage. Maggie whispered through tears, "He's starvin' for pride, not cash, and feedin' his babies on it." I didn't answer, but I scheduled the face-to-face. Year 3 was make or break, and my finger was on the trigger. Hold on, the showdown's next. I set the meet at the original garage, 6 a.m., before the sun burned off the dew. Told the intermediary, client wants final walkthrough. Travis showed at 5:57, grease still under his nails, Emma's backpack slung over his shoulder, dropping her at school after. Door creaked. He froze when he saw me leaning against the '67 Mustang. Portfolio slipped from his hand, papers scattering like busted spark plugs. "Dad?" Voice cracked like a 12-year-old's. I didn't move. Yeah, I wrote the contract, the trap clause, the whole damn thing. His knees buckled. He caught the workbench. "You tested me? For 2 years? Every bolt, every skipped meal, every inhaler you bought with overtime." Silence, thick as 90-weight oil. Then he whispered, "Did I pass?" I stepped forward, boots crunching on the scattered pages. "You starved for pride while your kids ate cereal for dinner. That's a pass." Tears cut clean tracks through the grime on his face. "I see Mom's patio tears every night, Dad. I did that." I handed him a rag. "Wipe your face. We're talking." 2 hours, no sugar. He owned every lie, every greedy smirk, every time he let Kendra twist the knife. No excuses, just, "I chose easy. Now I choose hard. Every damn day." I laid the rules like lug nuts. No money talk, ever. Video calls with the kids first, short, supervised. One slip back to old Travis, door slams forever. He nodded so hard his neck popped. "Whatever it takes, I just want my kids to know their pawpaw ain't a myth." Maggie was waiting in the truck outside, engine running, eyes red. I slid in. "He's coming for coffee Sunday. Kids only." She gripped the wheel till her knuckles went white, then let out a sob that sounded like relief. The engine roared to life. Year 3 just shifted into gear, and for the first time, the road ahead didn't feel like a dead end. "Hold tight! The first call with the grandbabies is next, and it's gonna wreck you in the best way." Year 3 started with a 7 p.m. Zoom link. Maggie's laptop on the kitchen table, 2 empty juice boxes waiting. Travis logged in from his apartment, Emma on his lap, Jake bouncing a Hot Wheels off the wall. "Paw-paw!" Emma squealed, gap-toothed grin filling the screen. Jake shoved a crayon drawing forward, stick figure family, 4 heads, one labeled Grandma with a heart. Maggie's hand flew to her mouth. A sob slipped out before she could stop it. 10 minutes. That's all I allowed. Travis stayed off camera except to fix Jake's volume. No begging, no tears, just, "Tell Pawpaw what you built today, bud." Call ended. Maggie stared at the blank screen like it might vanish. I shut the laptop. Next Sunday, same time. Week 2, Emma read us a Dr. Seuss page, stuttering over "fox in socks." Travis mouthed the words behind her, eyes shining. Week 3, Jake asked if Pawpaw could fix his toy truck for real.
I said, "Bring it next visit." Travis's breath hitched. He knew what visit meant. First in person, City Park, neutral ground. I pulled up in the F-150, Travis waiting on a bench, kids clutching paper bags. Emma sprinted and slammed into my legs. "You smell like garage." Jake handed me the broken truck, solemn. "Don't lose the wheel, Pawpaw." Travis hung back, hands jammed in pockets. I nodded. I said, "You got 10 minutes with your mom while I fix this." He swallowed hard. "Yes, sir." Maggie met him under the oak. I couldn't hear words, just her hand on his cheek, his shoulders shaking. 10 minutes later, he was back, eyes red, voice steady. "Thank you." I tightened the last screw on the truck. Jake tested it, vroom, then looked up. "Pawpaw, when can we see the big garage?" I glanced at Travis. He didn't breathe. I ruffled Jake's hair. "Soon, kid, real soon." The wall cracked. Not wide, but enough for light to slip through. Next module, the first overnight, and the moment that almost sent us backward. Hold on.
4 years in, Travis got the call at 6:12 a.m. Shop owner, partner spot's yours. Need $40K buy-in. He texted me, no call, no beg. Advice only, bank loan or save slower. I stared at the screen. Maggie read over my shoulder, breath caught. I typed back, "Come to the garage, 7 a.m. He showed at 6:58, still in work boots, Emma's lunchbox in hand. I slid a folder across the bench. Loan docs, 4% interest, 36-month payoff, collateral, his tools. One missed payment equals full recall, no second chance. He flipped pages, knuckles white. This ain't charity. Nope, it's a wrench. Drop it, you're done. He signed without blinking, handed me the pen like it weighed a ton. "I'll pay every dime, Dad, on time, or you take the keys." First payment hit my account 29 days later, $1,111.11 exactly. Text from him, "Emma's inhaler covered. Thank you." Maggie baked cookies that night, left one plate out. Travis ate it on the porch at 10 p.m. after his second shift. Quiet, no words. The screw was tight, but the engine purred. Next, the crisis that tested the bolts and almost snapped everything. Hold tight.
4 years, 3 months, 2 days. Envelope slid under the door at 5:47 a.m. No stamp, just Dad in Travis's shaky scrawl. Maggie found it first, tore it open with coffee still dripping from the pot. "Dad, Mom, I still wake up tasting Mom's tears from that patio. Every bolt I tighten, every overtime hour, every time Jake asks why Pawpaw's garage is far away, I pay for it. I ain't asking to come home, just need you to know the man I was is dead. The dad I'm trying to be is alive because you let me bleed. If you burn this letter, I'll understand. If you read it, I'll keep earning the next one. Travis." Maggie's knees buckled. I caught her before she hit the tile. She pressed the paper to my chest like it was oxygen. I read it in the garage, engine hoist creaking overhead. Crumpled it, uncrumpled it, slid it into my shirt pocket, right over my heart. That night, Travis showed for the scheduled park visit. Kids ran to us. He hung back, eyes on the ground. I pulled the letter out, smoothed it, handed it back.
Next one better be on time with the payment. His lip trembled. Yes, sir. Maggie hugged him so hard his boots left the dirt. First embrace in 1,562 days. The scab ripped clean. Blood, tears, and a tiny spark of trust. Next module, the overnight that almost derailed everything. Hold on.
4 years, 9 months. Travis's shop got slapped with a $62K lawsuit. Shady supplier sent cracked engine blocks. Customer's motor seized on I-10. Lawyers circled like buzzards. He could have called, begged, blamed. Didn't. Instead, he sold his only asset, the '71 Chevelle he'd rebuilt with Jake on weekends. $18K. Took a second mortgage on his tools, worked triple shifts. Kids ate cereal for dinner 3 weeks straight. I found out from Luis at 2:14 a.m. Text, your boy's sleeping in the bay. Emma's doing homework on a crate. Photo attached. Travis under a lift, grease on his cheek. Jake curled on a moving blanket. Maggie lost it. Jack, he's killing himself. I drove to Houston at dawn. Found him elbow deep in a transmission, eyes red shot. Slid an envelope across the bench. $44K check, no strings. He stared, then pushed it back. I pay my own freight, Dad, or I'm still the same thief. Took him 11 months. Every payment on the lawsuit hit early. Last one arrived with a post-it. Debt clear. Kids ate steak tonight. I framed the canceled check. Hung it in the garage. No words needed. The engine held, but the next test was coming, and it was going to be family-sized. Hold tight. The 5-year mark is next, and it's a tearjerker.
5 years to the day. Our 40th anniversary barbecue. Backyard packed with shop crew, neighbors, no blood but Maggie and me. Then the gate creaked. Travis walked in, Emma on his shoulders, Jake clutching a wrapped frame. He hadn't been invited. He came anyway. Hands shook, holding a single envelope. He set the kids down, knelt in the grass. Dad, Mom, this ain't a beg, it's a thank you. Stood, cleared his throat, voice cracked over the grill smoke. 5 years ago, I stood in this yard plotting to rob my own parents. You didn't just lock the door, you saved my soul. Let me bleed, let me starve, let me earn the right to stand here. I was a thief. You gave me consequences. Then you gave me a wrench and said, build. I did. One bolt, one payment, one bedtime story at a time. So tonight, I toast the toughest love I ever got. Mom, Dad, happy anniversary. I'm proud to be your son again. He raised a plastic cup of sweet tea. Whole yard went dead quiet. Maggie saw, broke it. She ran, crashed into him, held on like he'd vanish. I couldn't move. Jake tugged my sleeve, handed me the frame. Photo of Travis under the shop lift, Emma asleep on his chest, caption in crayon, Paw Paw's crew, we fix things. I hung it above the workbench that night, next to the canceled lawsuit check. The dam didn't just break, it rebuilt, stronger, cleaner, earned. Next module, the will change nobody saw coming. Hold on.
5 years to the day. Our 40th anniversary barbecue. Backyard packed with shop crew, neighbors, no blood but Maggie and me.
Then the gate creaked. Travis walked in, Emma on his shoulders, Jake clutching a wrapped frame. He hadn't been invited. He came anyway. Hands shook, holding a single envelope. Set the kids down, knelt in the grass. Dad, Mom, this ain't a bag. It's a thank you. Stood, cleared his throat, voice cracked over the grill smoke. 5 years ago, I stood in this yard plotting to rob my own parents. You didn't just lock the door, you saved my soul. Let me bleed, let me starve, let me earn the right to stand here. I was a thief. You gave me consequences. Then you gave me a wrench and said, build. I did. One bolt, one payment, one bedtime story at a time. So tonight, I toast the toughest love I ever got. Mom, Dad, happy anniversary. I'm proud to be your son again. He raised a plastic cup of sweet tea. Whole yard went dead quiet. Maggie's sob broke it. She ran, crashed into him, held on like he'd vanish. I couldn't move. Jake tugged my sleeve, handed me the frame. Photo of Travis under the shoplift, Emma asleep on his chest. Caption in crayon, Pawpaw's crew, we fix things. I hung it above the workbench that night, next to the canceled lawsuit check. The dam didn't just break, it rebuilt. Stronger, cleaner, earned. Next module, the will change nobody saw coming. Hold on.
You ever get a phone call that drags up every ghost you thought you'd buried? That was mine. 11 years, 4 months, one Tuesday, 5:03 a.m. Phone buzzed on the nightstand. Travis, Dad, I need you at the shop, now. No hey, no please, just gravel in his throat. I rolled out of bed, Maggie already pulling on her boots. We hit the back roads doing 80, my chest thumping like a loose piston. Pulled up to his flagship shop, lights blazing, garage door wide open. Travis on his knees, arms black with grease, wrench in one hand, phone in the other. Jake, 14 now, holding a flashlight steady. Emma live streaming from a tripod, eyes wide. Center stage sat a 1969 Mustang Fastback, cherry red, hood off, engine bay bare. My old car. The one I sold in '98 to pay Travis's college tuition. He looked up, eyes rimmed red. Dad, a customer dropped this off yesterday. Title says, it's yours, Dad. I froze solid. That car was the first dream I ever built, and the first thing I ever sacrificed for him. Travis stood, wiped his hands on a rag. Tracked it for 2 years. Bought it back with bonuses, side gigs, skipped vacations. Rebuilt it with the kids. No loans, no noise. Jake turned the key. Engine roared to life, smooth, clean, alive. Emma stopped the stream, quiet now. Travis handed me the title, Clean, my name. He stepped closer, voice steady but soft. You were right, Dad. Legacy ain't inherited. It's rebuilt, one bolt at a time. Maggie's sob broke the silence. I couldn't speak. Just pulled him in. That same smell of gasoline, metal, and redemption. And right there, under those buzzing shop lights, 11 years of hurt idled down into peace. Not with words, not with money, but with a running engine and a family
finally firing in sync.
I'm 74 now, sitting on the same porch where Maggie once cried alone. Inside, Travis and the grandkids are laughing over burnt brisket. Out front, that '69 Mustang hums like it never left home. If I could lean across the hood of time and grab 30-year-old Jack by the collar, I'd say just 4 things. Love hard, trust slow, cut quick, forgive earned. Love hard, give it all to your people, your purpose, your promises. Trust slow. Folks will show you who they are. Watch the grease knock the grin. Cut quick. Greed's a slow leak. Patch it late and you'll lose the whole tank. Forgive earned. Not cheap mercy, it's sweat, scars, and years of paying it back. Then I'd drop a wrench in his hand and say, your empire's just steel. Your legacy's the ones who learned torque before tick-tock. Fire up the engine, son. Let that sound remind you what earned really feels like. Don't blink. The story ends where it started. One man, one garage, one truth. Now it's your turn. Go tighten your bolts, fix what's worth saving, and drive your legacy home. Ride safe, y'all. If this story hit home, don't just scroll past. Hit subscribe, join the Bitter Truth family, and ride with us every week. Real stories, real scars, and lessons that don't come cheap. Because life's short, y'all. Tighten your bolts and drive your legacy.